The next time ChatGPT starts thinking, don't open another tab, don't grab your phone, and whatever you do, absolutely do not just sit there cursing it and begging it to go faster. Instead, try this. Breathe in for 4 seconds and breathe out for 6 seconds. Hopefully you can count better than I can. In just 10 seconds, you turned AI waiting time into your own personal recovery time, which will make you a way more effective and efficient coder or creator. And by the end of this video, you'll know why this ridiculously simple rhythm can help you return to your work calmer, clearer, and more ready to make a good decision. I'll also show you 3 ways you can use it, from a single ChatGPT response to a much longer Codex task without adding one more thing to your schedule. I've fallen in love with this 4-6 breathing practice. I sometimes do it for up to 20 minutes and even up to 3 times a day. And recently, about 1 minute of it helped me stop fighting with Google's Gemini and recognize what was actually good enough and to just get the project finished. Because the computer is never really the bottleneck. The coding takes as long as it takes. The AI generating takes as long as it takes. But the quality of the result still depends on the human who tells the AI what matters, who reviews it, who creates it, decides what should happen next. It's not coding just to code. It's not creating just to create. The point is to create something useful, worthwhile, or beautiful, something you actually want to bring into this world. Let's say somebody asked me to paint a house a very particular shade of millennial gray. Does it matter if I can spray red paint 3 times faster than anybody else? No, I'm doing the wrong thing exceptionally efficiently. AI can accelerate production, but only the human in the loop can define what has value and guide the work towards that value. And when the human is present, alert, and available, the whole process can actually move much, much faster. That's where the breathing comes in. I've talked before about training the algorithm, in your Facebook, YouTube, wherever it is, to serve you. And I've talked about that in other videos. So you might not be surprised that my YouTube algorithm offers me up plenty of videos on meditation, breathwork, and ways of living a better life in general. In addition to the videos of the latest mega builds around the world. Man, I love that B1M channel. Anyway, one evening, I was looking for a breathwork practice to help me relax before bed and tried this 4-6 breathing method from a video from Neil Tranter. We'll make sure to have a link to one of his videos in the description. It was almost too simple. Breathe in for 4 seconds and breathe out for 6. I started with a short introductory practice, about 5 minutes, and I was amazed at how I felt. So the next day I tried his full 20-minute breathing timer. And in this 20-minute practice, it was really quite incredible because there were times where it was relaxing, but then times where I could actually notice the tension and the stress in my breathing and in my body. Yet by the time I got closer to the end, I felt a lot more calm and relaxed, and there was more and more space between my thoughts. And I had command over my attention. Now, not control in the sense that I could force my mind to be blank. That's actually never the point of any mindfulness exercise. Thoughts still arise, sensations still show up, but I could notice them and rise above them and return to the breathing. I often get great insights and ideas while I'm doing this. That's one reason I sometimes practice it 3 times a day. The only practice I do almost as often as this is my own leap practice. Now, the technique itself is simple, like most things in life. But simple can be very powerful though. Here it is again. It's inhale gently for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then exhale comfortably for 6 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But actually do, the 6 seconds. I'm going a little fast here. 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out. That gives you 1 complete breath every 10 seconds, or 6 breaths per minute. The key is to be focusing and going towards slow, light, comfortable breathing. You don't need to take the biggest breath your lungs can possibly hold. Although in the beginning you might want to, and that's okay. If breathing through your nose is comfortable, that's also great. If not, do what's comfortable. A little comfortable air hunger can sometimes happen, especially when you're learning to breathe more lightly. That is different from forcing the exercise. If you become dizzy, feel lightheaded, significant tingling, or have uncomfortable breathlessness, or there's palpitations, or just you're not feeling well, return to the normal breathing. If you stick with it though, you'll notice further and further relaxation, and that your breathing can become very, very subtle. And if you're like me and you're curious and you want more, and you would want me to make a separate video where I guide you through a much longer 4-6 breathing session, make sure to let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to know whether that would be useful for you. So why can something this simple make such a noticeable difference? Well, here's what's happening. Your heart does not beat at perfectly even intervals like a metronome. The time between beats changes slightly. That variation is called heart rate variability, or HRV. When you inhale, your heart rate tends to speed up a little. When you exhale, it tends to slow down a little. When you breathe slowly, around 6 breaths per minute for many people, those changes can become more pronounced and more coordinated. Research on voluntary slow breathing has found increases in measures of heart rate variability, or HRV, during the practice, immediately afterward, and after repeated practice over time. In plain English, HRV reflects some of your nervous system's ability to adjust instead of being stuck in one gear. It's not magical, where higher is always better, but in the right context, more variability is associated with greater flexibility and recovery. More plainly, your breathing and your heart are always having a conversation. Slower breathing helps them to find a steadier rhythm together. And the practical benefit is that you become more calm. But calm does not mean passive. This is a steady state of calm, alert readiness. Think of an elite athlete immediately before the snap of a football. That's American Handshake for my global viewers out there. Or the runner just before the starter pistol fires in a race. They're not asleep, they're not collapsed, and ideally, they're not super stressed out and frantic. They're composed, attentive, ready to respond. There's a concept in performance psychology called optimal arousal. Yeah. If you're barely engaged, performance can suffer. If you're overwhelmed and stressed out, your mind goes like it's overwhelmed, and performance can also suffer. The useful level depends on what you're doing, but there's going to be an energy, a zone where you have energy without chaos. That is a state I want when I'm doing just about anything. But I especially want this when I'm working with AI, because the AI may do a huge amount of the generating, but the human still has 3 essential responsibilities. First, clearly express what you want. Second, accurately evaluate what the AI produces. And third, choose the next best step. All 3 of these important steps require attention, working memory, and the ability to change direction when something isn't working. And this is not just philosophical. Research has found that acute stress can impair working memory and cognitive flexibility, the exact kinds of abilities you use when you're holding requirements in mind, reviewing a result, and deciding to redirect the work. I had a very practical experience with this while I was using Gemini to help me document some of my business procedures. I was wanting it to, help document from some recordings I was making on what to do. And it was pretty good, but there were some things with the output where I was like, oh, I'd like it a little bit like this or a little bit like that. And as I kept trying to make it better, it just ended up being worse. And I noticed I was starting to get frustrated. And that's when I was like, wait, let me take a step back. And while Gemini was doing its next thing, I did a few of those 4-6 breaths. And then I realized, wait, it's good enough. Now, that minute of breathing didn't make Gemini generate results faster or better, but it helped me stop turning a good enough result into an endless struggle. I recognized what was truly important. That's finishing the project so that I can get better results and do what I wanted to do and then move on to something I'd rather be doing. Remember, the coding takes as long as it takes. The AI generating takes as long as it takes. But you can become a better you while that's happening. And you are the most important part of any AI workflow. And there may be another benefit to leaving open space while the AI works. Your own mind gets a chance to keep working on whatever problems might be around in your life. Back when I was studying electrical engineering at Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, this was around the year 2000. The year 2000. I had a professor named Michael Sirovic, and Professor Sirovic had been teaching electrical engineering at Cal Poly for decades, even then, and he gave some of the hardest tests I had ever taken. I remember one of the first tests I took with him, it was some advanced circuits test, and when I got the results back, I just about had a heart attack because I got like a 42 out of 100. And someone who is always really good at getting great, amazing scores, which is one of the reasons I, went into electrical engineering, went to top schools, and then went on to get a Ph.D. So getting a score that low was a shock to my system until I saw the curve. And the curve was basically, I got the highest score out of anybody. 42 out of 100 was the highest. It was something like that. So he could be a very difficult hard ass, but he also taught us how to work with our minds. So he taught us test taking strategies, and one of them was to read the entire test first. And I was actually using this methodology on the test. And part of it is you read the whole test and you start with the easier problems. And you might think like, well, wouldn't you want to start with the hard problems so you have time to work on them? And the thing is that if you're starting with the easy problems, but you've already read the hard problems, even though you're consciously working on the problems you know how to solve, another part of your mind can continue working in the background on the harder ones. And there's a name for this. It's the incubation effect. Sometimes stepping away from a difficult problem, especially to do something that doesn't load your mind with even more information, which is why you don't want to just be doing multiple ChatGPT or Codex or Claude Code projects at the same time always. It helps you return with a fresh perspective or insights that lead to a solution you couldn't have seen while you were there in the problem. So when ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Codex, or Claude Code is generating, what do most of us do? We're checking email, we open social media, we start another task, we feed our minds 3 more problems, and then wonder why we feel scattered and unsatisfied when the answer that we first put in finally arrives. What if instead you let the AI do its artificial processing while you do the biological processing? Let the AI generate, let your mind and body reintegrate. Let your own mind have enough space to make connections. Now, here are 3 simple ways to do just that. First, for a short AI response, simply take 3 to 6 rounds of that 4-6 breathing. That's just going to be about 30 to 60 seconds. You don't have to finish before the answer appears. The point is to interrupt the reflex to go hunting for another distraction. For a longer task, take about 5 minutes to do some 4-6 breathing, or do another short practice like my life energy activation process that only takes 4 minutes. That works with your mind and your body. And for a genuinely lengthy task, you could do a 15 or 20 minute breathing session, or better yet, stand up and go for a walk and get some sunshine. Give your body some movement, your mind some space, instead of filling every available second with more input. The habit is simple. When AI starts thinking, you start breathing. And you can even ask the AI to help you remember. At the beginning of a substantial task, tell it, before you begin, give me a rough estimate of how long this will take. Then remind me whether I have time for a 3 to 6 rounds of 4-6 breathing, my 5-minute leap practice, or a 15 to 20 minute walk. That is exactly what I tell my AI agents to do now. AI is here to serve, but it is up to us to decide how we want to be served as humans. Because this is not just about producing more, it is about producing what you actually want to create in the world. And most of us do not want to create a world that is faster, louder, more frantic, and filled with increasingly more efficient ways to paint a red house, or a house red that should be millennial gray. We want to create a world with more calm, clarity, creativity, and enjoyment. So those are the qualities we need to bring to the work itself. The outcome matters, and the experience of creating it matters too. So here's my challenge for you. The next time you give ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Codex, Claude Code something meaningful to work on, take at least 3 rounds of that 4-6 breathing while it generates. 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out. Then notice whether you approach the result differently. Are you clearer about what matters? Are you less reactive to what isn't perfect? Can you recognize what is good enough? Or see the next instruction that you need to provide more clearly? Try it and let me know in the comments. While AI is thinking, what do you normally do? And what happened when you took some time to breathe instead? If this helped you, please remember to like the video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's next. AI can accelerate what you create, but only you can decide what is worth creating and who you want to become while you create it.